Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our daily word today. Glad you could join me in a new week in our continued conversation about Scripture and what it means for us. So, we continue this journey together. I'm always glad you join me. Thanks for saying, always good saying good morning or good afternoon or whenever you join me. And I'm always grateful when you've carved out time to be with me and to continue this conversation of how Scripture speaks to us and what it might mean for us as we live our daily lives. So today is daily word number 657 as we continue this rather long journey together. So for this morning, I have chosen from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 34. And this verse seems apropos to me for lots of reasons, but it speaks to us about today and how we live our lives. So, Matthew says, "So do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring worries of its own. Today's trouble is enough for today." So, we all like to make plans and we like to jot things on calendars. One of the things I always tell people, especially this time of year, with so much going on with church and basketball and confirmation and all the things that we have to do, I tell people often that I live by a calendar. And I put everything in my calendar, and Diane always asks me about halfway through. She hasn't asked me for February yet, but she will soon. I'm going to need a calendar, she will say to me. And so I'll print it off for her with all the at least important details. And of course, those printed off things are from the computer, so they're kind of written in stone. But I think this scripture reminds us that we probably should write our plans in pencil because they can change. Today, in just a few minutes, I'm going to be heading to Newport, Kentucky, going there for a funeral. My very good friend and colleague, Barry, and I have been friends for 30 plus years. His wife died not long ago. They've only been married 10 years, and I knew Cheryl, and of course, Barry and I have been great friends. And throughout the years, Barry and I have sat down with our pencils and pens and blank pieces of paper. We have talked about starting a business together. We've talked about putting all our thoughts on paper, not necessarily a book, but wanted to share them with us. We've had big dreams about the church and how we would share what we know with others. And the list goes on and on. But of course, as you know, time flies by. Barry moved to Cleveland, and now he lives in Cincinnati, northern Kentucky. We've always stayed in touch. We've met for lunch a couple of times. We met halfway, but life has a way of kind of putting distance between us, doesn't it? And so today, well, it was a few weeks ago, on a Sunday night actually, that Barry texted me and said that Cheryl had died. And it was late, and I was already in bed, and I was devastated by the news. And so, when I found out the details, I said, I'm going to Kentucky today. Whatever else is on my calendar, it's just going to get erased, and I'm going to Kentucky today. So I'm leaving in a few minutes to do that. The scripture reminds us, and probably we should be reminded just in general, that it is true, right? That today's troubles are enough for today. And tomorrow's troubles are going to come in spite of what happens today. And we should live our lives with the knowledge of all of that. Yesterday afternoon, I went to Dorothy Love. They always have a chapel service every Sunday afternoon, and so Jen, our pianist, and I went. And I know some folks there, and it was fun to see Shorty and Kathleen. It was fun to see many other folks who I know and have some great conversations. Um, a couple came out, both in their wheelchairs, in their electric scooters, actually. And they were so kind and gracious and told me how great it was, and they loved my singing because I sang the prayer song, Come to Me, that we all know. And they said, we want you to know that we're 98. And I couldn't believe it. Um, they're amazing people. And they said, we lived in upstate New York and we loved our life. But when it got difficult, their daughter lived in Troy, so they moved to Dorothy Love. And they said, we love it here and they're thriving. And I got to thinking about them and me and you and Barry and all of our lives and all the things, that we want to do. They gave me a stark reminder. So don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring worries of its own. Today's trouble is enough for today. And that's true, right? It seems, well, it's a fact that we should live today, fully in today. I got a message the other day from a colleague who lives in Louisville. And he messaged me and said, Jim, are you going to Cheryl's service on Monday? And I said, yep. He said, okay, I'm going to. I'll meet you there. I haven't seen John in years and years. We're going to connect again in this place where we're reminded of the brevity of life. For today. And friends, I think that is just such an important reminder about us as we're called to live our lives in these days in this way. To take seriously the gift of today, knowing that there's enough for today, and tomorrow it's going to bring its own troubles. And here we are as we live our lives together. I posted this on Facebook. It was a memory from a year ago, but I want to share with you what I posted if you haven't read it. I said this: I want coffee. I want to sit across from you in a cafe or perch at your kitchen bench, to hug when we meet, to smile at your stories and cry when life hurts. I want to pray with you and hear about your grandkids. I want to sit in church with you and sing together and meet your eye when I stand in that old pulpit, to break bread with you and remind you of God's endless grace. I want to intercede with you for the world and advocate with you for justice, to work at welcoming strangers and loving our neighbors together. I want to bake you a cake and share a slice of pizza at Casano's, and imagine with you the life that God calls us to live. I think that's apropos to this scripture that we have today. Tomorrow's troubles will come. Let's live in today. And so, friends, as we live our lives, as we contemplate the future, as we make great big plans for all of it, let's remember the 98-year-olds yesterday just really touched my heart. And Shorty and Kathleen and Nancy, who I haven't seen in a long time, who gave me a big hug. Just this reminder that we should live our lives fully today. And if we have a chance, we should share a cup of coffee. We should have a piece of pizza. I just baked a cake Saturday night when I got home from basketball, actually. So if you need a piece of cake, it's on my counter. And it is true, when we sit down together and when we live our lives in the moment, those are the best days for us. And what I like most about that, what I said, I want to bake a cake, share a slice of pizza, and imagine with you the life that God calls us to live. Forever and a day, Barry and I imagined what God was calling us to, and we never acted on it. And now I'm going to his wife's funeral, and that hurts my heart. So I pray for Barry today as we do this difficult thing, and for traveling mercies for me there and back. So thanks for joining me this morning. Don't mean to get a little sappy on you. Thanks for joining me. I pray that, as I said in my Facebook post, I pray that you will know of God's endless grace and my love for you. And I'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Have a great day.